Welcome to Composition. Today is Tuesday, April 14th. If you haven't yet, there is a Do Now posted in Google Classroom. It's a discussion post asking you to describe a time that you won an argument. What strategy did you use to win that argument? And how were you ultimately able to convince the other person? Your answer to that should be at least 5 sentences. And if you haven't finished it yet, please pause the video now and complete that Do Now. If you're ready to go, we are going to jump into our objective. Today's objective is to identify and explain how rhetorical strategies are used to persuade an audience. At the end of the day, you are going to turn in the 6.1 Rhetorical Strategies document. That is where we're going to be taking our notes during the video instruction today. It's also where your independent practice is found. When you're done with the lesson, you may turn in the exit slip. And just as a reminder, I will have office hours today. That's Tuesday from 2:45 to 3:45. So if you're available or you have questions, please do stop by and we can talk then. All right, if we're ready to go, let's open up that 6.1 Rhetorical Strategies document. The document looks like this, and it starts with a quick write. So think back. You've heard many speeches in your life. You've given many speeches in your life. And practically speaking, every time you either heard or given a speech, there has been at least 3 things present. What might be the 3 ingredients necessary for a speech to occur? I'm going to ask you to actually pause the video, think about this. It's okay if you're not exactly right, but try to name what are the 3 ingredients that you have to have for a speech to occur. All right, let's see how you did. And so I'm actually going to fill in these 3 things around this triangle you see in the middle of your notes today. So you can leave whatever you have in the quick write, but let's make sure we have the correct answers surrounding the triangle. The first thing that you need to have in order for a speech to occur, the very first ingredient, is a speaker. Someone has to be speaking. The second, and this may seem obvious, is they have to have a message. A speech cannot occur unless the speaker has something to actually say. And the third ingredient for a speech, it would be an audience. Anytime there is a speech, there is a speaker with a message, and that speaker is speaking to an audience. So today we're going to introduce some new terms. Rhetoric is the first term we're going to introduce. You may be familiar with it, maybe it's new, but rhetoric, the art of persuasion. When you completed your Do Now activity today, and you talked about a time that you won an argument, you probably relied on some form of rhetoric. And in fact, there are 3 main rhetorical strategies that we're going to be exploring today as an introduction to this topic. And these rhetorical strategies are simply appeals used to make an argument convincing or powerful. There's 3 types of these appeals, and the first type of appeal is known as ethos. Ethos is an appeal to the credibility of the speaker. Appeal to the speaker's credibility. And so this might take the form of being respectable, might take the form of being ethical, might take the form of being an expert, might even take the form of being popular. Why should the audience listen to you? If you're ever talking about why someone should specifically be listening to you, that would be an appeal to credibility. We call that ethos. The next appeal is pathos. If you're using pathos, what you're doing is you're going to appeal to the audience's emotions. If you're appealing to the audience emotions, you're trying to make them feel a certain way. Maybe you want them to feel happy, sad, angry, loving. And by making them feel a certain way, you might be able to persuade them to believe what you want and to do what you want. Lastly, the last appeal is called logos. And logos is an appeal to logic. This is just trying to, maybe you're using facts in your arguments. If you're using facts or logical reasoning, you're just trying to show, listen, what I'm saying is true, it makes sense, therefore you should listen to me. If we look back at this triangle, each part of the triangle corresponds to one of these appeals. For instance, the speaker and ethos are connected because the speaker has credibility. Put ethos there. So the speaker and ethos connected. Pathos, an appeal to the audience emotions. Would that go with message or audience? If you said audience, you'd be correct because the audience has emotions. And so pathos is most directly connected to the audience's emotions. Then lastly, logos and message are connected. The actual message has logic to it. And so different rhetorical strategies connect to different aspects of that triangle. Anytime you give a speech, you're probably drawing upon multiple aspects of the rhetorical triangle using different rhetorical strategies. But today we're just going to focus on each strategy one at a time as an introduction. So as you scroll to the second page, on the second page, you see our classwork for today. Today, you're going to watch a series of commercials. In each commercial, you're going to identify and analyze the use of rhetorical strategies. And so first, you're going to identify which rhetorical strategy is most clearly being used. Is it ethos, pathos, or logos? When I say most clearly, it's true that there might be multiple strategies at play. We want to know which one is most clearly being used here. Then, explain how the rhetorical strategy was used in that commercial. And then analyze what impact might that strategy have made on the audience. And so I have 3 examples for you that we're going to start with today. Sample 1 is a commercial that emphasizes ethos. So I highlighted ethos already. And you can click on that link or you can keep watching my screen. I'm going to pull up this LeBron James, I Believe Nike commercial.
How much pressure do you have to perform from day one?
There's no pressure. There's no pressure at all. I've been getting pressure since I was 10 years old. I'm doing something that I love to do. That's play the game of basketball. Y'all like to watch me play basketball. It hasn't kicked in yet to what I'm getting myself into. I'm not going to guarantee no championship. I'll tell you that. I just hope that they accept me for who I am as a basketball player, and especially as a person. I know how to be a leader. It's just a long-term. I always tell y'all that this was one of the long-term dreams I always had. That's just playing in the NBA.
From St. Vincent St. Mary's High School, LeBron James.
Wow, that was amazing. And so as you watch that commercial is very clearly an example of ethos. And when we look at how it was used, we see LeBron James is one of the most famous basketball players of all time. Some would say he's the greatest basketball player of all time. And in this commercial, Nike uses video and audio clips from throughout his career in order to use his reputation to sell their product. And so this right here would be an exemplary example of showing how a rhetorical strategy is being used. And then we want to analyze the impact on the audience. And so Nike is hoping that because LeBron is popular, respectable, and inspiring, certain audience members, and especially those who love basketball, are more likely to buy Nike products. When you're using ethos, it's interesting, was like they didn't even show off any of their products there. They're purely selling LeBron James's reputation and how great he is, and using that to make people want to go buy their products. So that would be an example of what ethos, appealing to someone's credibility, looks like as a rhetorical strategy. The next video we have, example B, is called Reading Inspires Children, and it is going to be an example of pathos. So as we watch this video, ask, how is this commercial appealing to its audience's emotions?
So a noun is a person, place, or thing. A verb is an action word. Max, something to share with the class? Come on. Shh. Thank you. How tired I am of this unbearable distance between us. How I long for the toll of the recess bell. Have you forgotten me? Grown mindless of me? Tell me I am not riding into an abyss, or that is what will become of my heart.
Help provide books to schools in dire need. Support the Indigo Love of Reading Fund.
So that video is very clearly trying to make its audiences feel something. And we see the way they did this. So how was pathos used? Well, by having the love note passed between two elementary school students, and have that note to be written with such beautifully complex language, this commercial is definitely attempting to appeal to its audience's emotions. When we look at the impact, the commercial was created by the Indigo Love of Reading Fund. And if we look at what they're trying to do, the Indigo Love of Reading Fund, their goal is to persuade their readers, well, in this case, their audience, through warm emotions, to donate money to be used to provide books to schools. And their whole thing here is just how that commercial made you feel. Our last commercial for you today is called Race of Doom. It is a Volvo commercial, and it is going to be an example of logos. So that means in this commercial, they're going to be appealing to a logic and reasoning in order to get their audience to be persuaded to their message. So I actually did not fill this one out. So this is going to be for you to do. So as I show this video, I want you to ask, how is this commercial appealing to logic? And what impact might that have on the audience?
Every year, Volvo subjects its cars to a race of doom, providing us with insight to help make our cars safer for you.
All right, so pause the screen. Now you try. explain how was an appeal to logic being used in that commercial and what impact might it have had on the audience. You can pause this, type your responses in, and then I'll see you back here in a minute. All right, so you've had a chance to explain how an appeal to logic was being used in that Race of Doom Volvo commercial. And if you said that they were trying to appeal to logic by showing how Volvo, more than any other car company, puts its cars through these safety tests, and then using the reasoning that because the car has been tested so thoroughly, then it would logically be safer, then you'd be on the right track here. The impact on the audience would be to logically try to make them feel safe. And they see that Volvo takes such care of their cars, they have a logic, rational feeling of safety as they drive, and that would make them want to buy a Volvo. And so these are examples of how ethos, pathos, and logos are used in commercials. Your independent practice today is to watch the 6 videos that are linked on the following page. Identify, this is commercial, an example of ethos, pathos, or logos. Explain specifically how is that rhetorical strategy being used. And then analyze what impact might that strategy have had on the audience. If you have any questions, I will be available through email today, and at 2:45, I will be having office hours. When you are done with the document, remember there are 6 videos. When you are done, please complete the exit slip that is in Google Classroom. All right, hope you have a great day, and I'll see you later.